You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Stevo.
From Two Can Travel.
And so can you.
Please subscribe if you haven't already. We've been living outside of America for the past 10 years, and we've been digital nomads since 2018.
We work as online teachers, and we also run our travel blog, twocantravel.com.
I also do virtual assistant work for some clients, and Stevo is a stand-up comedian, and that's been a really amazing part of our travels too, which leads us to our story time today.
This is the story of how I went from performing at open mics in Romania, to being on TV, to getting deported, to getting this close to winning a TV show in a language that I don't speak. So I love performing comedy. I've performed in 15 countries. And so when we went to go do a house sit in Romania, in Bucharest, Bucharest has an amazing comedy scene. They've got 3 full-time comedy clubs, dozens of comics, and they're all performing in Romanian. And I don't speak Romanian. Luckily for me, Romanians speak English very, very well.
Yeah, the majority of people spoke English pretty fluently.
Better than I do. Yeah, and I do this professionally. I was going to the open mics at the Fool and at the Comics Club.
I was so impressed with the Romanian comedy scene, and if you travel to Romania, definitely hit up either of those clubs because it's just a really fun night out, even if you can't understand everything that's going on.
So I kept going to the mics. I got a message on Facebook and Instagram from a person I didn't know that said, "I've seen you at the open mics. Would you like to be on TV?" Jen was in the kitchen. I showed her the message and I said, "Hey, look at this."
And we both just laughed. We're like, is this real?
So I messaged her back to find out when the show was going to happen.
What the show was.
What it was, yeah. Just more information. She wanted me to be on a TV show called iUmor, which is kind of sort of like Romania's Got Talent. And they wanted me to do stand-up in English on a Romanian TV show. So I asked, when does the show film? Because as Americans, we're only allowed to stay in Romania 90 days at a stretch. And she told me that the show was going to be filming on day 88. So I only had 2 days to spare.
We were like, oh wow, that is too perfect.
Or was it?
So everything is set. Stevo's gonna film for the show on the 88th day of us being in Romania, and then we're going to leave on the 89th day. Then we started our travels around Romania, and our first stop was Oradea. As soon as we got there, Stevo got a message asking if he could change the filming dates. We are in Oradea, Romania. It's so beautiful. And Stevo got a message, hey, great news, you're filming on the 13th and we want to have you come in on the 14th to do an extra bit with one of the judges.
They wanted me to come in an extra day to film a bit where I do my act again, and they sold it to me as like a Groundhog's Day joke on the judges. I've seen the clip, I still don't get it.
So that meant Stevo would have to go in on day 89 of us being in Romania and film. We'd already booked all of our flights to France and everything like that, but we figured it would still be worth it for him to do an extra day of filming, why not? So we just ate those tickets. He booked another ticket, which meant he would leave Romania on the 90th day, the very last possible day he was allowed to be in the country.
So the day of filming comes and I still don't know if it's real. I get a map from the producer that looks like it was drawn in Microsoft Paint and an address that Google Maps doesn't recognize. So I get in a Bolt car and go across town, and I roll up in front of a television studio. And I met the producer who I've been talking to. She's a real person and not an elaborate catfish. While we were all waiting to go into the studio, I got to meet a lot of the other acts. There were folks from all over the world. Americans, Canadians, Italians, Bulgarians, and if you can believe this, Romanians. People were doing all sorts of cool acts. There were balancing acts, singing acts, there was a rapper, there were other comedians, dancers. There was even a guy there with 2 dogs to do like a jumping through hoops flip show. The producers did tell me that the show was about to start filming, so I messaged Jen to tell her to come to the studio so she could watch.
Yeah, that was really cool. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to be there, so I was really excited to go watch.
So all of us performers are waiting in a green room, just trying not to freak out before going in front of the cameras. I was lucky. I was the second act of the night. One of the producers comes through a door, points at me, and then they send me backstage where a stagehand starts putting another mic pack on my belt, pulling up my shirt and putting these things in my ears. And I ask him, what is this all about? And he says, it's for the translation. I'm just like, I don't want my act translated in my ears as I'm performing. That's not going to be helpful. He's like, no, to translate for the judges. Still not understanding what he means. Another producer hands me a microphone and he introduces me in Romanian. Don't really understand what he's saying, but I do recognize my name, thankfully. And I walk on stage and my intro music is Papa Roach, Last Resort. If you haven't heard this song since middle school, good, not a good song. So I'm walking on stage with these headphones in my ears to this horrible song, and I just start laughing. Everything that could possibly have gone wrong in the 30 seconds has. I'm completely relaxed.
Meanwhile, I'm in the audience. I see Stevo come on stage, and I don't know about the microphones like in his ear. So to me, sitting in the audience, it looks like Stevo is wearing dangly earrings. And I was like, what happened to him today? Like, he's a new person.
Show business changed me, baby.
He got his ears pierced. He's wearing earrings on stage. I was very confused when I saw you, but you crushed it. You did so well. And it was just such a cool feeling to be in the audience and see you. Like, the whole setup was really amazing to be there live in the studio audience with the huge cameras, like on the swivel, and you on the stage with all the lights behind you.
If I do my act, it goes over really well. I do about 8 minutes. And then I talk to the judges. I realize what the headphones are for. It's a Romanian TV show. The judges are gonna speak Romanian. They do speak English. They're not there for me, they're there for the viewing audience. I'm getting a real-time translation of the judges like I'm a delegate at the UN. Definitely the fanciest thing that has ever happened to me. And the judges are just saying really nice things, and they all ended up giving me thumbs up, which is good. I go off stage, I go back into the green room, and I'm doing post-interview. Suddenly, Jen walks into the green room.
So between the acts, they take a pause and they stop filming, and so I really needed to pee after Stevo's act. I think I'd been holding it in and I was so nervous. And so I got up and I asked someone who was working there, where's the bathroom? They passed me off to someone else and they walked me down this hallway, and then they opened the doors, and then there's Stevo and he's like being filmed. So I guess there was a miscommunication and they took me to the green room, not the bathroom. So there I am, really having to pee. I had like tears of joy during Stevo's act. So like my mascara had run all over my face. And then they like pushed me towards Stevo. So now I'm on camera. Accidentally said the F word. Not accidentally, but I was just chatting to you and I said the F word and that made it onto the TV. So I got to be on Romanian TV too.
You're famous too, baby.
I mean, this whole thing was just like such a funny thing to have happened. Traveling full time just like opens us up to really a lot of possibilities, and we're just very flexible.
As soon as I was done shooting, I was like, what a fun, happy time that was.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go to France.
So the next day as planned, I flew to Lyon, France, and Stevo went back to the studio to do another day of filming. So then Stevo flew the next day to France to meet up with me. And then we went to the French Alps where we had our first of 2 house sits in France, and we got into lots of adventures up there in the mountains.
And then we went to our second house sit in France in the middle of nowhere near Bordeaux.
So beautiful in the countryside.
So it's about a month later, and I've been checking the TV show's Instagram, trying to get an idea of when my episode's gonna air. We find a way to watch it on a Romanian app.
They edited it so well.
It was cool to see my act turned into television. So I don't know how the show works. I don't know what happens next. Apparently it goes to the Romanian people and anybody who is watching it to vote on their favorite act. A few days later, I find out that I won my episode. Even though my act, again, all in English, the Romanian people speak English, and they thought I was the best of that night. About a week after my episode aired, I got a message from the producer about coming back into the country for the finals. I tell her, well, I was in Romania for 90 days already. when does the finals film? And she told me it films in early December.
I was cutting it close, but it wasn't quite going to be 90 days.
It was like 85.
So you messaged her, hey, I think I'm gonna need a visa to get back into the country because I was already in Romania 90 days. And she was like, oh, I don't think it's going to be a problem. We'll just give you a letter.
She told me, everybody knows this TV show. It's just 2 days. What's the worst that could happen?
So she's like, we'll give you this official letter from the show. You just show that at immigration and then they'll let you back in. And we were kind of skeptical. We were like, I'm pretty sure you need a visa. We did some research on if there were talent visas or something like that. The show assured us that it wasn't even necessary. So we just believed them, maybe foolishly in hindsight. But we figured, okay, that's settled. They'll give you the letter and you'll get into the country. Meanwhile, our parents were so excited that we were in France, and so Stevo's mom and my parents decided that they would come visit us in France, and then Stevo's mom would fly with him to Romania to go to the taping of the finals.
My mom and I fly into Bucharest. We get into the airport and we get to the immigration office. I hand the officer my passport and they take a look at it and say, well, okay, where's your visa? And I said, well, I don't have a visa, but I do have this piece of paper. I believe this will cover it. And wouldn't you know, it didn't work.
Didn't you say the immigration lady didn't even know about that TV show? She'd never heard of it?
Yep. I asked her, oh, it's iUmor. Do you watch iUmor? She said, no, I don't watch that kind of TV. I'm usually playing my Xbox. And I said, okay, well, that's cool. I got a Switch. Could I come into Romania? And that didn't work either. I realized that I'm host. Like, there's no way I'm going to get into the country. I'm not mad at any of these folks. They're just doing their jobs. I broke the rules. I'm not allowed into the country. I'm getting deported. An officer takes me to a detention center, which is really just a balcony above one of the gates. The only thing that's keeping us there is a bench in front of the staircase and the fact that they had confiscated my passport.
Were there other people in the detention center?
There were 2 other guys. They were nice enough. I wonder if they were there to be on TV too.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. They booked me onto a flight back to Paris for 20 hours later, so I'm just waiting there overnight. So I still had my phone, so I was able to call Jen, tell her I'm in a detention center, I'm okay.
Yeah, it was really scary.
I just sit down and just was sad for many hours. It was just a bummer.
And your mom still entered Romania and got a hotel near the airport.
After a few hours of being very sad, I got a call from the producers telling me to film my act on my phone and they could show that. I broke out of the detention center by walking around the bench and down the stairs, and I avoided the security guard because he had left. I found this empty gate. I set my phone up on the counter and 2 water bottles and filmed myself doing my act, and I constantly was getting heckled by the security announcements.
At the airport, thank you for your cooperation.
You're welcome. The first time I ever moved in with a girlfriend, and at one point I'm filming myself and a security guard comes and sees what I'm doing, and he just starts laughing. Not at my jokes, but just at what I was doing. He must have thought I was doing a TikTok or something.
And now, live from the Bucharest airport, Stevo Jocelyn. Hey boss, how you doing? Good, how you doing?
I'm getting.
You want to direct?
You.
You want to direct me? Sure, tell me what to do.
Okay.
I film the act, I send that to the producers, and I think, okay, well, you know, maybe I got a shot at it. And they also said, okay, since you're getting sent back to Paris, we're going to try to Skype you into the show so that you can still perform live. And I thought, okay, that sounds great. I hope I get back into France. So the next morning, after not sleeping all night, I get put on the plane back to Paris. My mom booked herself on that same flight. She's sitting at the front of the plane, and I'm sitting in the very back of the plane where all the bad boys sit. We land in Paris, and then we get to immigration, but I can't go through because I still don't have my passport. We're standing there for a solid hour before the woman with my passport shows up and takes us to the French detention center. And that is a very real and very scary prison. and they are like, okay, well, this guy's American, why is he here? Do we need to kick this guy back to the States? And I'm like, no, please don't do that. They look at my passport. That was enough to say, okay, all right, cool. We'll give you some stamps. Welcome to France. My mom very graciously booked a nice hotel in downtown Paris. So we get through immigration, we get to the hotel, and I just pass out. I wake up a few hours later and I have no idea where I am. All I know is I need to be on Romanian TV. The producers call me on Skype and I answer, and I'm already on the giant screen behind the stage. I'm not camera ready. I'm not looking good at this point, and I'm already 30 feet tall and everybody's staring at me. The producers give me about 30 minutes. I call my mom. I need her help. I need some makeup, and then she sits down to watch the act. I knew that she was coming out to visit us and was going to watch the performance, so I wanted to start off with a joke about her. I brought her on camera so my mom could have her 15 minutes of Romanian TV fame too. Gotta spread the wealth. The act went over really well. The judges really liked it. The audience liked it. They liked it so much that I got 3 thumbs up again. I got 3 thumbs up again. I made it to the top 4. I called Jen immediately afterwards to say, hey, I might win this thing.
We didn't even know there would be a top 4.
No. It was an unbelievable roller coaster of emotion, from getting to Romania, anxiety levels up here, to getting kicked out of Romania as sad as possible, and then getting back on TV and making the top 4 all within 24 hours.
And I went from being totally freaked out and scared that you were being deported and hoping you'd get back into France so we could continue on our travels, to you calling me saying made the top 4 of the show.
So that was all at the beginning of December, and the episode aired right after Christmas. And if you can believe this, I did not win.
To be fair, you're not Romanian.
Nope.
You weren't even there for the finals physically. Nope. You're not Romanian.
Apparently, the Romanian people would rather vote for a person who speaks Romanian and is allowed in the country as opposed to some deported foreigner who doesn't even speak their language. Like, what the hell? I love performing comedy, and I love Romania. So to the people of Romania, you will always be in my heart, even if I'm not allowed in your country. That's the story of how I went from performing at open mics in Romania, to being on TV, to getting deported, to getting this close to winning a TV show in a language that I don't speak. Follow your dreams, kids. Get deported. Thanks for watching.
Please subscribe if you haven't already. We've got lots more travel adventures and stories coming to you soon.
Last time I was in Romania, I thought to myself, I really like this place. I want to spend as much time as I can here. So I did. I was here for about 90 days, and I tried to come back, and iUmor sent me a very nice letter that showed to the immigration people that says, please let Stevo in. Very nice. Thank you guys. Thanks for sending this. And then today, I got another letter from the Romanian government here at the airport that says, no. So I'm here at the airport all night for another couple hours just waiting to get deported.